I want to do a little something different because what I notice is that when I get the audio tracks, they're not always 100% synced up. Yours and mine are both very high quality. Tanya's wasn't, and that caused problems, and I'm going to be editing. So real quick, let's do a clap.
We're already recording.
I know. So this is what we're going to do.
Cool.
We're going to do a clap on record, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, clap. And the audio is the important part, not the video. So actually, I'm going to. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, clap. Ready? 1. Like I did.
I'm waiting to clap
after 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
There we go.
Was that on time at your end?
I think it was.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Do it one more time.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
We're just off rhythm, dude.
That could
1,
be it.
2, 3. Yeah, it's basically so 1,
2,
2, 3.
Come on, we're not this white. Maybe it's not worth it. Okay, we're a minute in. I'm going to see if we can do another clap break. Ready? Hey, you say it too. You say 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2,
okay. 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
George,
there we go.
Say it all the way. I think this fucked it up more than I planned on. Okay, well, I was going to try it, and I'll see if that helps sync up the audio, right?
All right. We'll figure it out. Yeah. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Okay. Cold open, icebreaker, grab attention, summarize the episode.
I prefer all the shit we've been doing because I think it's more interesting. We've just been kind of bullshitting. These guys are really trying. They're trying hard to sync their mics.
Yeah, I don't know how much that I'm going to leave in. But I did want to just say something up front. This is unusual because I think I always think this goes without saying, but maybe it should be said as you're fond of telling us. So we're kind of getting into the weeds with this topic. We're talking about sensitivity and a sense of humor. So I just want to say at the top, if you disagree with something that I say tonight, consider giving me the benefit of the doubt. Most people who are going to hear this are people who I already know and I think kind of like me already. So keep that in mind and keep in mind what you think of me as a person. If you disagree with me, let me know personally and we can talk about it. Feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to address it directly in the next podcast. Because if you can't be open-minded enough to hear and respect someone's point of view that doesn't 100% sound like yours, then this probably isn't the show for you. If you can realize that I'm trying to get my honest thoughts out there in an effort to learn why I'm wrong or why I think I'm right, then please share with me what you think. Let's talk about it. Let's not go back and forth with little comments online. Let's have a real discussion. Who knows? You might make me a better person and I might learn something from you. And finally, everything that I say is half joking and half serious. So there are only two types of people I actually don't like. People with no sense of humor and people who are closed-minded. So I'll try to be serious, but if I say something outrageous, try to see if I was going for a joke that maybe you just didn't find funny and decide if you're okay with people making jokes that aren't for you. I don't know. That's it, George. Is that...
Ditto.
All right.
I couldn't put it that as eloquently as you did, Tim. So, yeah, that makes sense.
And with that, hey, friends, I'm Tim.
I'm George.
And this is We'll Get There with Tim and George, a podcast for our friends and family where we will systematically offend every single one of our close friends. We're going after you guys.
We're like criminals with bad attitudes and shit.
Speaking of which, George, do you have a disclaimer of your own you want to tell our audience?
I do. Oh, yes. We are known to use coarse language, talk about sexuality, violence, and racism. So if those things are not your cup of tea...
You're probably fucking Polish and get out of here. I'm kidding. You can stay.
No, we love the Poles. But you probably
Swedes.
should... the Swedes are fine. They're just very tall and pretty. Very tall and pretty.
The dog like these.
That's true. But needless to say, if you're offended by that, you should find something else and enjoy it. Because this is not for you, because we will be crass, coarse, and good looking, so deal with it.
Yeah.
We love you.
So tonight we're talking about sensitivity versus having a sense of humor. And George, you mentioned that you're feeling a little sluggish tonight. I think we've been talking for a few minutes already. How you feeling?
I've got a little bit of Montucky. Great beer. Check them out. That's a free advertisement, so please don't sue us. But yeah, I am feeling a little bit waffly. I tell you, retail work will mess you up. mess you up. So, but I'm ready to talk about sense of humor and sensitivity tonight. So I'm gonna let Tim play lead guitar on this, and I'm gonna keep the sweet, sweet solos and nice
Well,
rhythms.
all right, you mother forgetters, buckle up because I have got some shit to say, kinda, because I
I'm here to solo, bitches.
generally speaking, my first point that I wanted to make is this. We're talking about basically hashtag activism, Facebook posts and sharing posts and stuff. Look, I think it's good. And I know that the people that are listening to this, our friends, are very active when it comes to sharing things on Facebook. And I think to a certain extent, I think to a large extent, that's great. I'm really glad that there are people out there who are trying to share what they know, who are trying to inform other people of other perspectives and all that stuff. I really do see value in it, and I appreciate the people who are doing it because I know who they are and where they're coming from. I'm talking about close friends of ours, that mutual friends and people on my Facebook news feed, and I'm sure on yours too, who are very active when it comes to what I'm dismissively describing as hashtag activism. Here's why. I think it is very valuable when it's targeting large corporations, the government, when you're trying to sway the opinion of public officials, when you're trying to show, Target that they can't get away with just sitting on the fence when it comes to pride. They got to ante up. And now they're a sponsor of pride parades, at least here in their headquarters in Minneapolis. Yeah, I think that kind of thing is awesome, and it's the perfect use for it. When you're using social media to show that there's public support for a cause and that you're advancing that cause that way, that's great. And I think that Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all social media can be used to further that. What bugs me is the echo chamber that we all get into. And again, I'm speaking to the audience as if they're my friends who I'm not going to name individually, but I do have specific people in mind that I love and appreciate as people online. I kind of roll my eyes a little bit because it's like, all right, yes, we all get it. We've already blocked all the people that don't agree with us, or we've unfollowed them or whatever, because every once in a while I'll click on someone's profile and go, oh shit, there's a Trump supporter. No wonder I haven't seen anything they post the past 2 years. I unfollowed them 4 years ago or whatever. So some of our friends get into this habit of sharing things like, oh, isn't this awful? And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, of course it's awful. We know it's awful. What the fuck do you want me to do about it? I'm on my break. I know that there's horrible things going on in the world. I'm with you on everything. And I'm doing exactly what I feel is important, which is taking care of my family, going to work, being aware of things, trying to keep an open mind, and voting. But I can't vote right now, so why the fuck am I looking at pictures of kids in cages? I'm sorry. I'm not going to drive down there. And what am I supposed to do anyway? I don't know. There's a limit to what the echo chamber can accomplish within itself. You know what I'm talking about, George? Am I making any sense? Because you got to be my...
You're making some sense. Here, the thing is, the thing I'm thinking about this is there's only so much you can do in a day without keeping yourself solvable. I believe it. I learned this from a Buddhist book I read about maybe a few years ago, that you got to take care of yourself before you can help anyone else. There's serious issues within society that need to be taken care of that are not being taken care of. So that's why that's the echo chamber here. But you can't live that. I don't think anyone can live that life 24/7. Even if you are the direct group of people that it's affecting, you can't live that way because it's just unhealthy. And I think, especially with social media, the people gotten away from just trying to figure out who they want to sleep with, and just stalking those people. Well, stalking, I don't mean stalking, but viewing those photos.
No, stalking. Call what it is. It's stalking.
No, well, are you intending to go in there? With stalkings, the key word is it has intent to do something negative. You could just be viewing them. That's
well, okay, yeah. I was thinking Facebook stalking, but you're right. Yeah, it's not like you're going to climb in someone's window. You're going to get drunk and maybe send them a like on a picture that's from 6 months ago, and then go, "Oh shit, that's obvious. It was 2 a.m."
Yeah,
so we're not doing that anymore. Now what we're doing is being socially aware.
Yeah, which is a good thing, but the thing is, it's not. It's one-way communication, and a lot of people just like talking shit. That's the
Right.
issue with the whole thing, is people just really enjoy talking shit instead of talking shit.
And I guess here's my point too, that sorry if I interrupted.
No, you're cool. It's all.
This is something I'm very passionate about because it really comes down to my increasing hatred of social media, because there is a benefit, but then like a perfect bell curve, there's a certain peak and then a decline in benefit, and then eventually the costs outweigh the benefits, because when we're all aware constantly of problems that we have in society. Again, I reference kids in cages. That's the fact that we're taking illegal immigrant families, separating them at the border, and putting fucking children in cages. Of course it's outrageous. Of course it's disgusting. Hasn't changed, and it's been like that for years now. So what the fuck are we doing that we're still... You have to be aware, and you have to keep that awareness up, and you have to keep movements going, right? But at the same time, there's a cost to it. I haven't thought about this in a long time. And thinking about it right now boils my blood. But what if I was walking around all day, every day with my blood boiled because I'm looking at Facebook? You can't get away from Facebook if you're on it. You can't get away from the notifications and the dings and the likes, because I got family on there. You know, I'm sharing pictures with the two grandmas that are on there all the time of my son playing and stuff, and I've got friends that I like to keep up with, seeing pictures of their families being shared, and you know, people sharing funny things and stuff, and I do like to stay aware. But the fact is that if you're on social media all the time, you're just absorbing all this negativity on a constant basis, and you're pulled in too many different directions, and nothing ends up getting done as efficiently as it would unless we're all moving in one direction. You know, for a couple months anyway, it's petering out here and there. We're all moving in the direction of Black Lives Matter. That's good. That's a whole section of the country all focused on one thing at a time. To what effect? Mixed, right? As usual, it's some things get done. There's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes 10 steps back in different cities and different things going on. But the fact is that if you're caring about everything all the time, how are you really making that much effort, that much effect for all the effort that you're putting in? You know what I mean? You're stressing yourself out about 100 things, and then maybe not getting as much done as you would as if you were more clear-headed.
Well, that's because. So I'm gonna try to work this quote in I got from Jason Gordon-Levitt. I'm gonna weave this.
Joseph
Hopefully, weave this in. Yeah, it's Joseph.
Okay.
He's a good-looking guy. Good-looking dude.
Good actor.
Oh yeah. Half the time, this podcast just breaks down to men we think are hot. Deal with it. But anyway,
his quote.
One of the things, Joseph Gordon-Levitt said was, the real bohemia now is just offline, which I think he meant that to be truly artistic, truly creative, and truly like in your own kind of world, you need to be disconnected, because that's where it is now. Because since ideas are so pervasive in society in just all areas, you can live this sort of hip lifestyle without actually connecting, where everyone else is connected. Connectivity is the mainstream. To be different and independent, you need to be away from that. And now, how am I going to weave this through? I didn't think of the transition.
Well, that actually is really helpful, because I think that's what it comes down to is what it comes down to for me is social media is the fucking worst. And here's why. Because most people don't deserve a say. Most of us are not writers or journalists. Most of us are not professional content creators. No, I do say that, because historically, we have not all had a say in everything that goes on. You vote. You vote once a year. You vote every other year. You vote every 4 years. You vote. You have representatives go, and then things just happen without you. And I'm not saying that's necessarily good, but I'm saying that's what it's been. And now all of a sudden we have the democracy worldwide of opinion. Okay, that's fine. But most people are fucking morons, and we know that. And I'm not saying our friends. I'm saying that most people in general are morons. So what makes us think that we're so special that our opinion is going to be more valid than somebody who worked really hard to be able to share that opinion through traditional avenues?
I think everyone at least deserves an opinion, but it should be if you don't study that shit, it's not worth, like, if you're not studying that.
People are having opinions on vaccines. People are having opinions on climate change.
Yeah. they're allowed those opinions, but whether or not they're actually worth anything is important. I think. Here's the thing: is like I have a person who's discussing with me. I think as a prime number theory. I don't know shit about
Sounds
numbers.
like crystals.
Like it's well, there is the fact that there's no pattern to prime numbers, and I'm like, okay, I need to, I'm not qualified to think about, I don't think I'm qualified to think about that, but to have an opinion it's basically, yes, there could be a
That
theory
sounds
about it, or
fucking
no.
dumb right away. Anyone that's just thinking too much about prime numbers who's not a mathematician sounds like a fucking idiot.
I wouldn't say that. I have to work with them, and I think to be honest with you, I think and
Are they
part
a
of people just
published
need to be heard.
mathematician?
No, no, see, that's why I think if
Then they don't
they have
deserve an
any,
opinion on prime numbers. It's a waste of time.
no, it really is a waste. In my thought, it is a waste of time. But the thing is, they should at least they be able to have the opinion, and someone should hear them out, and then someone who actually knows something should guide them into the right
In
way.
an ideal
Because
world, that's how it would work, but that's not what
then
we
why?
have the time for. That's the problem. Jenny
That's
McCarthy
why
can
we
get
had.
out there and spout some fucking anti-vaccine shit, and now we got measles outbreaks in Portland and Los Angeles, some of the most liberal, educated places in the country.
I think
Exactly.
opinions.
Opinions are like assholes.
Opinion.
Everyone has one.
I know, but I think what's the point if we're not trying to move to an idealized society? What's the point?
I
Otherwise,
am
it's
trying
just
to
the
move to an
gain.
idealized society, one in which
So
not
you
everyone
should.
spouts off on shit that they don't know anything about. Most people are ridiculously dumb. I almost said a word that I'm not supposed to say. Most people are ridiculously dumb about 90% of everything, but every once in a while, there's something
I
that
don't
they
disagree
are an
with you on
expert on.
that.
And
I don't disagree.
it's a fact, right? You can't be an expert on everything. So most things in your
Correct.
life, you're just kind of, I don't know. I'm not a dietitian. I'm just trying my best. I'm just trying to eat. I'm not a musician. I just have a guitar that's collecting dust in the corner or whatever, right? But every once in a
Yeah.
while, something comes up and you're like, okay, but let me tell you about the 1988 Packers. That was the best year or whatever it is, you know?
No, they were shit that year. Um, no, but no. Here, the thing
I
is,
don't get
though,
to have an opinion on the 1988 Packers. The fucking guy who spent his entire life learning about it gets to have an opinion. I don't get to have an opinion on most things because I'm not an expert on most things. But the things I am an expert on, like how dumb people are, I think I should speak to.
I don't disagree with you that most people are dumb. I'm going to state that clear because I do believe I am fairly unintelligent about certain things, and I'm fairly was it fairly I fairly think I have a good understanding of human nature. But the one thing is, I think humans at least need the option of being able to think, A, I do agree with this person, or B, I don't disagree with this
Of
person.
course.
Otherwise, yes. And that's what I think. You should have an opinion, but whether or not you've actually put any effort in studying into that shit, whether or not you should be taken seriously or not. I have very limited knowledge on ballet. I'm allowed to have an opinion about it, like it costs too much money and it's very elitist. Does that make me have a better understanding of ballet or whether it has cultural significance? Not really.
But again,
Which
you're a reasonable person who tries to strive for
am I?
moderation. Well,
I do
okay,
try.
you're not that reasonable. You're on this podcast with me, so clearly
Yeah,
you're a
that's
little
true.
fucked up to be, standing for me saying this kind of shit. Like people shouldn't have opinions. And let me clarify too that I am very glad that people have opinions. And once again, plug for the podcast. I really would like you guys to comment and tell me how wrong you think I am, and try to use as many swear words and insults as you can because I love when people do that. 3-strike policy on my page. I've had to delete a few.
I'm a sensitive soul. I'm a sensitive soul.
Uh, Again,
And on the internet,
I
terrible
do love
choices.
that people have opinions, and this is kind of my point too. Social media is the fucking worst because here's the thing: when you have an opinion and you're sitting next to somebody and you go, "Oh, I think ballet's stupid," I can look at you and go, "I can come with 10 reasons right now why you're wrong." And you know what we'll do? We'll have a beer, we'll have a long discussion, and we'll forget what we were talking about later because we just like spending time together. We're monkeys. We
Yeah.
need to be next to each other, pick bugs off of each other's fur, and eat it.
And touch each other's genitals.
Absolutely, all day, while discussing politics. Everything would be fine if we could look each other in the eyes and discuss this shit. But on social media, you can't. You're sitting there just typing away angrily at your keyboard, getting all fucking pissed off, going, "Ah, that bitch, I can't believe she said, you really think AOC, blah, 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 fucking Trump, blah, blah, blah." And they get all pissed off in their fucking houses, in their basements, where I am right now, overheating because I finally have a door. You should be proud of me.
I am very proud of you, Tim.
Thank you. They get all pissed off at each other through comments, and yet they're not actually remembering that there's a human on the other side of that. I have had good friends tell me that I'm an idiot or that I don't understand issues because I disagreed with them. Because I disagreed with them online. Now, if we were having that conversation in person, that same person would go, "You're a fucking idiot." And I would laugh and say, "Yeah, you're right. Come on, let's go get a drink and talk about it." Or whatever. I'd say, "Hey, what do you mean?" But we wouldn't actually
probably
get
at Wayland's.
into it. And yet I have to reconnect with this person. And this really happened. And I think he knows who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name him. But this really happened recently where we were talking about an issue politically, and it got a little bit heated just in the comments. And I had to connect with this person through message and go, "Hey, dude, we can disagree. It's fine. I don't hate you." And he goes, "No, I don't hate you either." And we just had a quick discussion like, "Okay, yeah, so here's what I think. Oh, here's what I oh, okay, great." We had a little bit longer discussion than you can have in a comments section because we can go back and forth a little bit and see when the other person's typing, respectfully wait for them to, thumb it on their phone, right? But it gets so fucked up when you go online and everyone's ridiculous. I keep almost saying retarded. You're not supposed to say that anymore, even though it used to mean slow of mind. Now it's an insult for people who are mentally challenged, which I would argue saying that is an insult. But anyway, I won't say it's not what I mean. It's ridiculous. I'm trying. I'm a flawed individual, and I have the impulse to use the word retarded to mean dumb, and that's not good, and I'm working on it. All right.
We're just trying not. We don't try to stigmatize them, and I mean.
But it is ridiculous that people can just spout off the first thing that comes to their mind, and then bam, it's a Facebook post that now has the potential to be shared 20,000 times. And I'm not saying that like they all get shared like that, but just one of them does a lot of damage. Again, anti-vaxxers. They're idiots. They're all idiots. They're all wrong all the time. And yet it still has traction. Kids are dying from diseases that should be defeated because somebody gets to have an opinion on social media. Fuck you, Jenny McCarthy. Shut the fuck up and sit down. Nobody likes anything you were in. Not even that hot. Big fake boobs. Not my type.
I thought she was good and single.
I don't know, George. What do you think? I see you getting heated over there.
Here's the thing. Well, no, because I think, and because you have to just take the rage out of whatever you do when you're working, I think. Unless you're playing sports, specifically basketball. Look up Michael Jordan. That's where rage comes in. The thing is, you have to treat these people humanely.
Michael B. Jordan. Got it. Go ahead.
Yes, Michael B. Jordan. He could slam dunk on your ass. The thing is, the thing is,
rage.
You need to be.
You were saying taking rage out of it. I can hear you losing your train of thought.
Yeah, the train has been derailed and there are innocent victims. This is not good. I was by the siding.
You're saying take rage out of everything that you do.
Yeah, because if you got someone who's saying stupid shit, first of all, the last thing they want to do is talk down to like they're an asshole. Even if they are an asshole, you have to open that area so that the communication exists just to show them why they're wrong. And like with anti-vaxxers, I think it is because they don't have control over their children. And I mean,
totally.
And
I get it pretty on an individual level. I really do, because I know some people that are that dumb, and I don't hate people who don't know things or don't understand things or are fearful. I feel bad for them because I go, well, somewhere along the way, you didn't get the common sense that you need to live, and it's okay. I didn't get all the common sense that I need to fucking live, and it's cost me. I'm not very good with budgeting. It's why I only, just now am doing as well as we are in our family. It's there are things
I really need to learn a budget.
There are things that I'm not experts in, but I trust that there are people who do know and try to use a judgment. But I think we're talking about two slightly different things, because you're giving advice to the trees, but I'm saying the forest shouldn't grow there. You know what I mean? You're absolutely right, and I agree with you that it would be a great thing for all of us to learn to have a little bit more patience with each other, especially when it comes to things that we disagree on, and especially when it comes to opinions that we don't understand or don't like or are uninformed. You're absolutely right when it comes to that, but I'm saying that you're spreading fertilizer over the ignorance of the general population by giving them all a Facebook profile, and it's dumb. It's just
it's not really Facebook. It's just human nature. You have to figure out a way to corral human nature into
We did. We had leaders who kept us in the dark and just did shit that was fucked up beyond their backs. That wasn't good. So now we're trying this.
We're looking at you, Winston Churchill.
he was alright.
I just called out Winston Churchill.
I mean, he was a
Tory
racist,
bastard.
but come on.
No, he did some. Well, no, let's be
God,
real.
we're going to cancel Winston Churchill now? For fuck's sake, he's dead.
Well, we can't cancel him anymore, can we? But we can be active that he did like lead one of the biggest famines in India during the Second World War.
Yeah.
He chose, which is it's an interesting choice. I'm not going to cancel Winston Churchill, although I'm not a fan of the Tory party. Yes, I said Tory party. Our possible UK viewership is confused now? I don't know.
I love the Brits. I really do. I wish there were more attractive women on that aisle. I met one of them. You met one. Let's not name her. She'll never hear this anyway. But
probably not. She probably won't.
Probably the most attractive British person I've met in person. But
you know what?
That's what happens when you put all your genetics on an island. You know? Like, unless you're going to mix with it. They imported some lovely, beautiful people from India and Pakistan and then didn't mix with them enough. Like, come on, get it all in there. Be a nice little soupy brown. But no, they just shoved them all in London.
Actually, well, London and Birmingham are attractive cities. I know Birmingham's a bit of a rough place.
Yeah, because of the brown people, not because of the Brits.
It's not because they're brown. It's because,
Hot take for this podcast, British people aren't very good looking. Go ahead. That was you said it, not me. I can't believe that.
I didn't say that.
Look, I'll try to edit it out, but it's going to be tough to edit out this whole.
I never said that either. Here's the thing: what can we say though? There is genetic similarity in some things, but I think I was just going to say Birmingham and London are lovely, and so is Manchester, Stockport, yes, Scunthorpe, and Grimsby. I just like talking about Grimsby because it's a funny sounding name, and their football team. Okay, so last game I saw at my favorite pub.
Yes.
Football pub was Crystal Palace versus Grimsby Town. So I will always remember Grimsby Town.
While I change the title of the podcast too.
So Tim and George go to the UK and insult
insult the UK, talk about soccer clubs and attractive celebrity men.
Well, actually, no. I was going to say all the like UK stars out there now are all actually ethnically mixed, at least that I can think of.
Well, yeah, it's the same as like, and again, controversial, but it's the same as how the NFL and the NBA are dominated by Caucasian Americans because they're the best athletes. Oh, wait a second.
Sorry, but I think that's
trying to decide how to respond to that.
Yeah, it did. It was like, and we're done. And we're done. Well, if you think, I mean, like, yeah.
What do you think about? Here's another thing on my notes because you can't seem to stay on topic. But protecting certain groups of people is necessary, absolutely, because it's just fucking harder to be a minority or a woman in this country, and they do absolutely need certain protections, and they need a lot more sensitivity than they currently get, than they have historically, and are still getting. But I like big butts. Going too far perpetuates a culture of weakness and victimhood, which is the opposite of enabling those groups. I don't 100% agree with that. I'm saying that there is a possibility of going too far in protecting these groups because it's like you gotta let people figure shit out on their own.
I agree with you, but I know that I'm not the one to figure that question out. I'm just not qualified to do that. I usually here's the thing, my thought is let people, like groups of people, come up with what they see as what their issues are and what they need to have fixed. Then come together and be like, okay, I agree with this, and this. Why do we disagree on this? And figure out a decent resolution from there. That's my thought, but again, I always think it's on a personal basis.
It really makes me uncomfortable when you say these very controversial things, George. I don't always know how to respond.
Women have a tougher time in society.
I'm still reeling from that one. I can't believe that you went that far out on a limb and it didn't break under you.
Yeah, I know. We're fucking controversial up in this piece.
When it comes, and here's what I mean by protecting groups of people. The idea of cultural appropriation pisses me the fuck off because cultural appropriation is otherwise known as world history. It's ridiculous. And saying that is a modern liberal equivalent of white paternalism. It's just, oh, we got to protect these poor people from other countries because their cultures are so weak that they're just going to be stampeded by Walmart and McDonald's and Taco Bell. God forbid we have Speedy Gonzalez in Warner Brothers because Mexicans aren't going to know who they are. It's like, first of all, Mexicans didn't have a problem with Speedy Gonzalez. I know that for a fact. They thought it was funny.
What about his cousin?
We all knew somebody like that. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. The little mousy one who's fast and takes naps. It's funny.
Well, I think that, you know what? I think that's not where when they're talking about cultural appropriation
is you can't a poor white girl who thinks that kimonos are really pretty can't wear it to prom and then share it on Facebook because she gets labeled a white imperialist bitch or something. Because God forbid anyone other than Japanese people wear kimonos. First of all, Japanese people don't fucking like anybody other than Japanese people. They're racist as fuck over there, okay? They are xenophobes just as much as anyone else, including us. They have culturally conservative people and culturally progressive people, just like every other place. The progressives are the ones who like visitors, who like going to other countries, who like importing parts of culture into Japanese society, and they're outcasts because Japanese society is mostly homogenous. And for the most part, they don't like foreigners. So they don't give a fuck if you wear the kimono. You just can't come here and live here. You got to go. You're forever a guest worker. It's like that in a lot of Asian countries. God, try being black in China. They're racist as fuck over there.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I've seen something recently on that. I was like, that's bad shit.
Or
crazy.
Korea, or Taiwan, or Thailand. A lot of those places.
But the thing is, there's no actual diversity in those areas. Even like genetically, it's the least diverse part of the world.
Oh, wait a second. That's absolutely the opposite of true. It's more diverse than anywhere else in the world. Asia?
No,
there are 79 ethnicities in Vietnam alone.
I do know from what I was recently, there may be ethnicities, but I think they're more genetically cultural similar than compared to Africa, who have both the
so
tallest
you think all
group
Asians
of people
look the same?
shortest.
George Gretchen.
No.
My goodness.
I'm also Asian. Thank you very much.
Yeah, only the cute.
Yes, thank you. No, but I think in a lot of countries, I think a lot of Asian countries, at least in Eastern Asia, have a lot more cultural homogeneity. That doesn't mean there's different ethnic groups in there. And we're starting to dabble into waters where I'm slightly uncomfortable because I'm going to probably not mispronounce things, but mislabel things. So forgive me in advance. But I do believe there's a lot more like genetics,
by the way.
Genetic similarities compared to places in Africa, which I think also have more diversity in that sense.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I can sign off on that, but also I'm not talking about genetics anyway. I'm talking about culture. Africa has got way more cultures than we're familiar with. Just take, for example, East Africa. I've been learning a lot just from work because I work with a lot of wonderful people that are from there. Right? We've talked about this. We work with
I like to think they just talk shit about me all day just because I have to tell them things to do. It's like this fucking white boy. What's he know? What's he know?
I have coworkers who are from Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, and that area I guess is known as the Horn of Africa. And it's fascinating to learn a lot about different cultures. How Ethiopia is a very Christian nation. It's more Eastern Orthodox, so it's not even a sect of Christianity that I'm familiar with. But so it's
long beards.
It's everybody who not necessarily. I don't know. But it's everybody
in Russia,
who,
I think.
Yeah, in Russia. There are people who are they speak Oromo. They have many different languages. That's only one of them. Obviously, in Somalia, they speak Somali. I know somebody who grew up speaking Somali and Swahili, so being multilingual is very common there. And in Somalia, you're more likely to be Muslim than Christian. But there are, like in Syria and the Middle East, there are many different religions all in that one country. Even though Somalia itself politically is kind of a mess, Somalians themselves are all over the place now. There's been a diaspora where there's a lot of refugees and a lot of people who have come since the 90s here to Minnesota. On top of that, there's just a different history with Ethiopia, which is one of the only places in Africa to never be colonized, and they were only very briefly
defeated. Italy.
Well, exactly. They were very briefly defeated by the Italians in World War II, I believe it was. And other than that, they had been an independent country for hundreds of years, even while all the rest of Africa was being, parceled out. So it's a really fascinating area. So when it comes to, and also, that's just East Africa. When it comes to Africa being a diverse place, that's an indicator that it's a whole continent. There's a lot more going on than
East
we
Af-
think of.
well, but East Africa's still got like most people I know. This is what I learned in my history class that at least people speak at least three languages like fluently, and then they know about 10 other, like another seven other ones just to get around and just like get information out. So it's probably one of the more interesting and culturally diverse parts of the world.
For sure.
I
And because of their cultural diversity, I don't think that they need the protection of us worried about culturally appropriating their culture.
I think there's nothing wrong with like if you wore something. At least I don't think there's anything wrong with if you wore something outside of maybe
You're not allowed to wear
ceremonial
cowboy
religious
hats,
garb.
George, because we
I don't give a
appropriated that
shit.
from Mexico.
I still don't give a shit. Um, and to be honest with you, I'm fairly fair skinned, so anything that gives me
You're also not allowed
broader
to eat
range over my
pasta
skin.
because that's a traditional dish from Italy, and I think only Italian Americans
You
should
also
eat pasta.
I'm also an Italian American, so suck
I
it.
really don't appreciate you
Um,
drinking that beer, by the way, because that is a Bavarian tradition that's hundreds of years old.
I'm also fairly certain that I've got like a lot of Western and
I'd
Eastern
really appreciate
European
if you would
blood in
stop
me.
eating sushi too, because that's a traditional dish from Japan.
Okay, there you go. Finally got one there, Tim. Finally got one. It took you a while. But it's so delicious. No, the thing is though, I think it's the
You can
big
go
issue is
without
people
pasta?
making. I like pasta, and besides, pasta's Asian.
No, it's not. It's Italian.
Ooh, no, where do noodles come from? Where's the biggest
Flour
producer of
noodles come from Italy, motherfucker. Pasta's not Asian.
Pash is an Asian dish, and the reason why is because the Asians had the Italians had
Marco Polo
a
brought it back from
seaboard.
China?
No, Marco Polo was dead. We fucking killed that bastard in the Philippines. I seen where we fucking killed him. Lapua knocked that bitch out.
Oh shit, that really happened.
No, it did, and
Oh,
I was at this. I've
You were
been to the
there.
place
You
where they
killed Marco Polo. Holy shit.
Damn right I did. Colonizing prick. The thing is, like I was
Wait a
actually.
second. Are we going to cancel Marco Polo too? What the fuck did he do? I don't know. Christopher Columbus was a horrible piece of shit. I'm on board with that. That's pretty like, yeah, okay. Fuck his tricorn hat. Let's get rid of Columbus Day and Columbus, Ohio. Let's just bomb the whole town. Any of our listeners in Columbus, Ohio, this is your evacuation order, okay? Because we're going to wipe you off the map.
And we're going to put in a Walmart.
That'll do it.
Well, no, like he did some shit. I don't know exactly what, but I was actually where they killed Marco Polo in the Philippines.
Okay, well, since he was white, I'm going to say he was probably a hero, and those savages, must have ambushed him. Otherwise, there's no way.
I don't know where to go with that one, Tim.
Remember the whole disclaimer at the beginning about how I'm going to say outrageous shit? The laughter is the cue that maybe I'm joking. And let's get back to the topic then. Can you still have a sense of humor and be sensitive? Because it doesn't seem like you can. You appreciate that it might be funny to me, but you're not willing to laugh at it. What's up with that?
Let's think about that.
Is your sensitivity killing your sense of humor, George? Because I still think you're a funny guy, so how do you do it?
I don't know if Marco Polo was a bastard.
Right, but
he was traveling the world.
Are you tiptoeing around things that you think are controversial?
I don't know. I'm a pretty sensitive person, and I think I genuinely think I'm sensitive and aware of others' needs and that. And the thing is, if I don't know something, I will willingly admit I don't fucking know and just kind of back off, which is it's more of a safety mechanism than anything else.
But do you think that you can be that sensitive and still have a sense of humor about things that might be controversial? I'm not talking knock-knock jokes here. I'm talking about jokes about race, jokes about politics.
You can. I think you can. I just don't think I'm that funny. I have difficulty building jokes. I know how to riff, which is important. I know how to riff with you, Tim.
Well, sense of humor is different from being funny. Like I love attempting to be funny as a hobby. I'm not very funny, but I have friends who say that I am. But it's like, no, I know people who are funny. I just like trying to do it because it amuses me. But I don't like hurting people's feelings. So if I know that I'm hurting someone's feelings, or if I even think that I'm hurting someone's feelings, I'm not going to say the thing. But if I say something and then it turns out someone's feelings get hurt, I'll apologize genuinely because, hey, I didn't know. I wasn't going to say something in front of someone and you know what I mean? I wasn't going to say something in front of someone that was going to
Yep.
hurt
Sorry,
somebody.
there, Tim.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
you know, you can't watch what you say 100%. Eventually, you're going to slip up and say something that offends somebody. Like, oh, I believe in, you know, monogamous marriage. Like, well, okay, that offends me because I
Yeah.
think you're closed minded and not sexy.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think you. I mean, I think people are. I mean, could be offensive, and you can talk about things that are offensive. It's just the habit of if I know, like, if I don't know something, I back off. That's my personal thing. If I'm like, that's why I think sometimes I'm a pretty bad leader because I take my time and just be kind of like, all right, let's see what like I have to run through a list of things before I make a thing do something. It's more of a affect of being caught, just being painfully cautious about things.
Okay, so do you think that sense of
Yeah,
caution is Do you think that sense of caution is what is stopping other people from having a sense of humor? Do you think people have less of a sense of humor as our sensitivity as a liberal cultural, because we only have liberal friends. If our sensitivity is going up, do you think our sense of humor is going down among people we know?
I think you just heard all the fucking jokes before. Things become less funny. That's something John Cleese says. As you get older, you've heard most of these
I
jokes,
think that's
and it
absolutely not
takes.
true.
I don't know.
There's not a
Like
limit to
I
humor. There's
know
not a limit to conversation. You haven't heard all the things people are going to say.
that's true, but the thing is, I think what I think is funny is just. I mean, I realized that one of the things I find funny is like a normal situation, and then someone acting completely outrageous or just being
You can
very
slip on a
vulgar
banana
and
peel,
mean.
waka waka.
No, because like my favorite, oh God, my favorite skit I've ever seen, it's Vanessa Bayer, and she's an old SNL character, and people will say some sort of like mildly like everyone's it's about taking a picture and everyone looks cute, and then they say something mildly offensive, like sitting here with these dum dums, and Vanessa Bayer goes, I'm sitting here with these big shits, these fucking assholes, these fucking pieces of human It's the. It makes me cry so much. It's so funny. It just makes
So it
me
doesn't
cry.
bother you that's degrading to women.
It's not because it's not degrading to women. It's degrading to the idea of
I don't know.
it's
I'm
just
sure there's a lot of
absurd.
domestic
It's
abuse victims who have been called names like that and don't appreciate it just being tossed out lightly in a sketch, George.
probably not, but they probably shouldn't be watching that then. I
And
mean, if you're
that's
going
what
to
I
be
think
upset,
too about when it comes to having a sense of humor versus sensitivity. Like there's certain
yeah.
things that if you can't handle it, then well, that's sorry.
Well, no, my theory is then back out of that situation. You should just simply, that's not cool with me. I'm not going to be
So do you
here. I
think
get that
victims can
you
enjoy
just,
stand up comedy anymore?
yeah. I mean, like fucking Dane Cook has a big fan base, so. And Dane Cook is a very talented man. I just don't care for his comedy as much.
Also a
So,
victim.
is he a
Yeah,
victim?
yeah. His brother stole like millions from him.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, it is a victim. Yeah, he was like, and he's an interesting
That'd
cat
be
in
like if my
himself.
brother
Like,
stole hundreds from me. That would suck. I mean,
yeah, and
I
that's
could
fair.
survive, but it would suck, and I would be like, well, fuck you.
Yeah, and I mean,
You
that's
better
part
not
of
bring
it
me.
is. See, I mean, I mean, like yeah, of course they can. It just depends on the comedian and that, and whether or not they're ready for that kind of humor. And part of like comedy is people being able to laugh at that sort of thing and being able to bring that up. I think, yeah, you can.
Well, and that's kind of the
If you
thing
could,
that stand-up comedians have been talking about for years. Dave Chappelle, famously on one of his more recent Netflix specials, I think he put it succinctly when he said, "You motherfuckers are the worst audience I have ever had in stand-up comedy." The reason being
Mhm.
that this idea that we're so aware or woke or socially aware of everything all the time means that the people go to stand up comedy shows and groan at the jokes that are offensive to them because they're or maybe they're not even offensive to them. Maybe they're virtue signaling not only to other people but to themselves. I mean, I think that's a pretty common thing where people don't want to admit that, like, yeah, okay, I kind of have fucked up thoughts sometimes. So then they go too far the other way and go, no, I only think clean things. Oh, I think that's terrible. Oh, I think that's terrible. Oh, that's offensive. That's offensive. It's like we self-censor ourselves so much that we don't really know what we actually think. We're only just parodying what we know we're supposed to think. We're just on board with what all of our friends are telling us is the thing, you know?
I think that's part of it. I think trying to be on the right side of things is always kind of a human quality, but I don't know. I think shit. I don't know. Fuck it. People, I think.
All right, fuck it. We're not doing the podcast. Here, let me hit stop.
No, but I think I mean, I think that people are way too aware of that. I think, especially with stand-up comedy, because you're telling jokes and it's a personal thing, and it's not a production. People feel the right. They need to always argue their point, or I don't know. I really think that people their virtue is virtual virtue signaling, and stop it. It's not good. I mean, we get it. You're against violence towards women. We get it.
Yeah, we all are, because why wouldn't you be? It's fucking terrible, and it still happens, and it's a travesty. But we agree on that. You don't have to go out of your way to say it. Susan G. Komen Foundation, everyone turned against finally because they're going, okay, yes, we're all aware of breast cancer. You're just raising money now to raise awareness of breast cancer. Like, you're not actually putting the money towards research. And that was a whole big thing for a reason, justifiably so, because once we realized that, oh yeah, breast cancer is a problem and that's, something we need to destigmatize and think about, okay, that's great. But then you go, why the fuck are they charging money for wearing pink outfits, the NFL? Like, what the wait a second, where's that money going towards? Is Susan G. Komen's a millionaire, or who? I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I assume that's what it was. Whatever. Fuck her. Fuck
yeah.
Susan
Is
G.
it going?
Komen.
Is it going to awareness?
Equally.
Yeah. Fuck. Equally. But like,
you know what, George? I'm going to say something controversial right now. I'm against cancer. There, I said it. I think it's about time
Tim.
that I came out on this podcast against cancer. I think people for a long time have thought of me as a Spencer.
Watch out, Ben Shapiro. Here comes Tim Volkert. That's all I'm saying.
I want to go near that slimy
Look
fuck.
out, motherfucker.
Him or Bill Maher. They're just goddamn audience whores.
Well, I mean, half of it's entertainment. Most of the things that you like,
it's all entertainment.
Getting people's attention. It's not really dealing with the issue at all. You have to do activism. You need to publicize it. I get it, but you also actually need to put that money where it goes to doing.
Yeah, up to a certain point. Say you're gonna do. We're all on board with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of on a related topic, and it just we're bouncing over the place anyway. But there are things.
Yeah, we are.
There are certain things that when it comes to, and maybe this could be its own episode someday, because I would especially like to talk to you about, again, the liberal mindset. And I still describe myself as a liberal. I think that a lot of people who call themselves liberals on social media are kind of getting it wrong, and they're misrepresenting what a liberal standpoint should be about, which is, genuinely trying to take care of the weakest members of our society and make things better. But a lot of people now have used the word liberal as this kind of litmus test of purity, and it's any movement that has got that is just doomed to fucking failure.
I disagree with purity.
Right?
I hate it.
This idea that you have to agree with every goddamn thing 100% of the way, or you're not a liberal. It's ridiculous.
Here's the thing we miss. At least I was talking to one of my good friends, John, about this a while ago. And that was that I did a lot of work with the LGBTQIA community.
What's the I stand for?
But
I got all the other letters.
I think it's intersexed.
The fuck is
I believe it's intersex. Don't recall.
Okay.
I think it's ambiguous genitalia, maybe. Sorry. Forgive me,
That's like 10
LGBTQIA.
people. Can't we just list them by name instead of giving them their whole letter? All right. So anyway, they're nice. Okay. They're in there.
It's because damn it, Tim, that would be a lot longer.
I don't judge anybody because they could probably take me in a fight. Go ahead.
This is true. No, it's not. But anyway, the thing was we would take people as who they were, and there was less of a judgment. We were both discussing that now that there seems to be this really puritanical movement to be like, oh, you don't disagree with this, you're a bad person. Oh, we're going to judge you. Back, it felt like, at least when I started, it was like there's less judgment about who you were as a person.
Yeah. The idea of being liberal used to mean being open-minded, and now liberals are some of the most closed-minded people out there, aside from extreme conservatives. Like, extreme liberalism is just as fucking annoying. I'm supposed to agree with these people, and they piss me off. I'm going, why are you using terms like white fragility? What is it called? White fragility. I hate that fucking term. That's extreme liberal bullshit because it lumps all white people together. First of all, white isn't a thing. There's no such thing as white culture. White culture was an idea invented by white racists. Caucasian Americans came up with it to try to unite races from different European backgrounds. And they were just people who hate each other a little bit less than those they consider minorities. You know, they hated African Americans, they hated Jews, they hated like Irish for a long time. And then they're going, hey, we could recruit a lot of them. Okay, we'll let the Irish in. You know, fucking Irish. All right, fine.
Yeah.
So then you get the Germans, the Swedes, the Irish, and all these other Caucasian Americans together. And they say, oh no, we're all white together. All right, let's stop throwing bricks at each other's houses and all aim at the people that are at the bottom of the totem pole, you know, of society. And fucking burn crosses on their lawns. Like, that was the people who invented the idea of white culture. So now liberals are using this term white fragility to mean people who can't handle their progressiveness, which is a real thing. That is a real thing. There are people who are so tired and so exhausted from being aware all the time that they're like, oh my gosh, I just need a break from it. And then they go, ugh, white fragility. It's like, yeah, because they haven't been dealing with it. Like a child who hasn't been through anything in their life and then just goes out into the world has a certain innocence that they're not aware of things, and all of a sudden they get stuck into a fucking war zone. They're going to be a little more fucked up than the person who grew up in the war zone, right? That's what white people are when it comes to, you know, dealing with the types of things that minorities and women have dealt with in this country. They're going, oh my gosh, I can't take it. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, oh, you're white fragility. It's like, yeah, they're new to it. Give them a fucking break. Why don't you educate them? Give them a second, and then they'll be on your side instead of immediately shitting on them for not just marching every goddamn day.
Well, here's the thing. I think
this episode. I apologize. I'm trying to tone that down.
I curse a fuck lot, so deal with it.
Son of a gun.
But no, here's the thing: is I think
Mitt Romney.
You shouldn't. Mitt Romney's over.
He's a swear word now.
Mitt Romney's a swear word. I'm glad. It gives him a little bit more street cred. The thing is, I think people shouldn't use, and not shouldn't, but like they should against be using like technical terminology in everyday speech. First of all, it makes it sound kind of pretentious, which is okay to sound a little pretentious, but I think it dehumanizes a lot of. Oh, get out of there. It dehumanizes the situation in itself. George Carlin did a thing about shell shock and PTSD that makes some sense, where I'd like to reference, where it's that where you use those sort of definition, it kind of gets the humanity out of it. And I think that if I'm not exactly familiar with the term of white fragility, it may exist, it may not exist, it may be something in there. The thing is, it's missing the point on the level of personal basis. When you're dealing with one person or another, people feeling that they are, I don't know. People use a lot of these terms. Like, I hate the term microaggression. It's a thing. It exists. Yeah. But what it really means is someone's. Well, I don't even know if it's getting misused. That might be technically a microaggression. When I think this in the personal situation is people are being assholes to another people, using the slightest ways to slight people. That's a thing. Hence a microaggression.
Well, and it's on the basis of race or gender.
Yes, and I think the thing is though, you have to be. Yeah, but the thing is, you should say, like, if you're dealing with one-on-one persons, like, this person's being an asshole, this is the reason why, this is what it technically would be called. But I think you need to have the humanizing part to it just to keep that going. Because otherwise, people just think you're being a snob, or you're trying to talk down to them, and which I think you should never try to talk down to people. Talking down to people just makes you sound like an asshole.
Exactly, and that's my biggest problem.
Or if you're... And I think that the people want to use these things just to be more or less insulting instead of actually deal with the issue, which some people, and you know what? Some people who's young and understands these things are probably not trying to be assholes. It just comes off that way, and that's just due to inexperience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be it. It just, I don't know. I think that as I would say that nowadays, I would say that you and I are kind of old school liberals when it comes down to it, because we are progressive and we do agree with it, as far as I can tell, just from talking to you and how careful you are with your language. It comes from a very genuine place in you that that I definitely identify with and agree with. We share similar values when it comes to how we feel about people in general. From what I can tell, is that we really do have a lot of sympathy for people who aren't like us, who have absolutely gone through more. And we try to imagine and put ourselves in the place of someone who's a minority, someone who has a different sexual orientation, has been, therefore bullied for it, or just grown up in a society where they don't feel represented, or somebody who is, God forbid, a woman, half the planet, and yet still discriminated against and still having to go through so much extra shit and trauma that they're all crazy. That was the joke. That was a joke, ladies. Love you all. But the thing is, like, you and I share values similarly like that. However, we're also open-minded enough that I don't get the feeling that you hate Trump supporters either, because I don't.
I can't. It's tedious hating people.
It is.
Fucking tedious.
It's a waste of energy. I've said it before. Gandhi said that it's like drinking poison. Whatever. Gandhi said it. I'm saying it. Gandhi said it. I said it. I say that hate is like drinking poison, hoping someone else dies. All you're doing is hurting yourself with it. So I don't hate people that I disagree with. I go, why the fuck don't they see what I see? Maybe they've got a different experience. How would I reach somebody who doesn't agree with me so differently that they're way over there on that end of the spectrum and they're going to vote for some asshole like that?
You got to just get engaged with them. You have to. I always think it's personal, person to person. You got to get in there.
And there's so many
got to figure out a way to
make it. Don't seem like they're willing to do that. You get that sense?
I don't know, but it's because I don't think that that part of the game is their strength. Some people are good at, I don't know, like, I think I'm perfect for a company because I can march in lockstep. I just think
George, you're fucking miserable in your job. You're terrible at a company. You need to get out and work for a nonprofit. You and me both.
I do work for a nonprofit, and I don't care for
nonprofit, I guess. Not a less profitable nonprofit. I don't know.
I need to cover my bank book, so
I get you.
And if this ever makes money, that'd be great, please.
Oh, by the way, that's a good time to introduce our sponsor, Las Vegas. The city of Las Vegas wants to remind you that you can go there and pay for hookers because, why not?
It's money, baby.
Family.
It's money, baby.
Come out here and spend lots of money. Las Vegas, proud sponsor of the We'll Get There podcast. Anyway, sorry for the ad. Just wanted to put that out there.
It's money, baby.
Some money, you don't even know it.
You don't even know.
That is from one of my favorite movies of all time, Swingers. Jon Favreau, Vince Vaughn, some others, and just Ron Livingston's in it. It's amazing.
And what's her name?
Heather Graham.
No, Heather Graham. Heather Graham.
A very young, nubile Heather Graham. Yeah, real cutie. She's only in like one scene, and she kills it.
Not like she did in Jack the Ripper, although she did kill it in that. The Jack from Hell. There we go.
My
girlfriend had to put up with a lot of bad movies I've liked.
Hey, wait. Okay, no, you were talking about Swingers, the other movie. Yeah, just final thought on the topic again, and I want to emphasize this, especially for people who have had the fortitude and the patience and the love in their hearts to continue listening past some of the things that I've said. Where again, I do want to say I am thinking of specific people when I say these things, and I don't want to name them, but I do. These are people that I love and respect personally. I disagree with their actions, and I disagree with the way that they use social media, but I want to stay connected to them because I want to convince them to take that energy and maybe put it into more positive avenues, because everyone is the zeitgeist right now, especially with people younger than us, is that the world is ending and that this is a terrible year.
It might be.
And all these things are horrible and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Yes, in terms of climate change, the world is actually ending and we're kind of fucked. However, when it comes to political, social, economic, well, economic's not great right now, but politically and socially, we're still on the path. This is not a great year for it, but chaos always presents opportunity. That's some Chinese tattoo on some whore's ass says that. But when it comes down to it, there is a lot of things going on, and the only year that I can compare this closely to is 1968. Absolutely horrible year, and yet it's in the history books for a reason. There was also a lot of progress that came out of that after that chaos, after the assassinations of Martin Luther King, of the Kennedys. When they weren't fucking people, they were getting shot. When all these horrible things were happening, when the war in Vietnam was ramping up, before we even knew how terrible that was going to be. This is before even the Tet Offensive. And we were still there 6 years after that. We also landed on the moon. We also united as a country after the assassination of a president, and realized that, oh, no matter what you agree, if like the guy or hate the guy, you shouldn't have been shot. This is fucked up. But the civil rights movement didn't die with Martin Luther King Jr. It continues to this day, clearly, that there are still thousands upon thousands of people marching in the streets, and hopefully there always will be. So I don't think this is necessarily the end of the world, but I do think that if you're only looking at Facebook, it can feel like the end of the world, and that's where I would plead with my fellow liberal friends. Get off of Facebook every once in a while. Look around at your interactions with people on a day-to-day basis, and you're going to see that most people still have your back, that people in general are good. And even if you're experiencing racism, you're not experiencing it from most people, thank God. You're experiencing it from 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 100 or whatever it is. Most people are on your side, and they're not fucking with you. They just want to live their lives, and they want to help out in small ways that they can. That's what I see from my obviously privileged perspective. One more term I don't like, white privilege.
Are we talking?
I don't know.
We can go over that soon. But what was it? But we're also talking, I think we're talking about bigotry instead of racism, because racism is a systemic system thing there, which I think is also something that I think gets
Racism is
lost in the
prejudice that turns into an action against somebody because of that prejudice. Yeah, so it can be
which
systemic.
is a government.
It can be systemic. That's what you're talking about. But racism can be
Yeah.
individual.
I argue that's just we should just call it bigotry, because then we don't have to deal with that whole argument of, oh,
Well, there's
that person's
prejudice,
being
which is like, oh God, black people.
This might be it.
Black people all want to go to the moon. You know, that's prejudice. You just think that based on whatever. It could be a misinterpreted experience. It could just be some shit you saw from your racist uncle's newsletter that he gets from the Klan, that all black people want to go to the moon. But then racism is like, well, I'm not going to hire this black person because as soon as he gets a chance, he's going to be an astronaut and go to the fucking moon. That's what they all do. That's racism. And then systemic racism is if you write a policy that says, hey, black people always trying to go to the moon is a problem, and here's a law to address it. That's systemic racism.
Could we call this episode "Black People Want to Go to the Moon"?
No, because I don't. Now I regret that's an actual prejudice I have. I do believe that all African American people, not all black people, but all African American people, do want to be astronauts someday, and that's something I have to grow and learn. That maybe
our Afro-Caribbean are
maybe
indifferent.
there are some African American people who want to be NASA administrators.
They do have a history actually during the math, which I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I saw the movie Hidden Figures too. I'm just as progressive as you, George. Jesus Christ. Don't high road me.
Shit.
I don't know, man. I hate being the one always talking for us, because I don't like the whole point of this podcast is to share.
I told you I was riffing tonight. I'm here to riff.
Can
you lay down those fat rhythms?
Give me a music recommendation. Like, what do you listen to these days? Do you listen to anything? Or
God damn it, Tim! You live in Minnesota. You're in the land of Husker Du, The Replacements, and Prince.
Hold on, let me write this down. Prince. Who is that?
Yeah, no, but you listen to like mainstream pop. Go listen to The Replacements. I think you might like them. Or because I've gotten to some. I'm going.
George, come on.
I know.
I'm doing it. No, this is good though. This is good. I do want the recommendations.
I don't think because I think knowing what I know of your musical taste, I think the best thing would be to start with The Replacements. Start with the record, Tim. You have?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, because I think that'd be good. I mean, like, because right now I've gone down some weird musical loopholes. What was it? I've been weird. Yeah, weird. All right. Give me a second, because that's gonna.
A guy who died homeless at 22, and he'd only banged on trash cans, and someone happened to record it one time in San Francisco. Let's go to Wesley Willis.
Wesley Willis.
I fucking know Wesley Willis. Come on, give me a weird one.
Yeah, that's probably a bit exploitative anyway. Go with it. Dude had schizophrenia, and they put a backing band behind his rants. So I
was kidding, George. I have no idea who Wesley Willis is.
I was like, no, well,
a schizophrenic they put a backing band behind, and you're gonna sit here and not laugh at some of the shit that I said.
I mean, here's the thing: it's like you want something.
Wesley Willis is the podcast recommendation for the week. I'm just making it right now.
Yep, he was a man from Chicago who had a lot of mental issues and was actually a pretty good art. Not actually, was a pretty good artist. And then he was given a backing band and recorded by Steve Albini. It's interesting. Like it's a lot of it's out there. It's like if you listen, there's some very weird stream of thought things that he said over a Casio piano loop. So check it out.
Okay.
I I mean, like, I would recommend, like, if you want to listen to good music, I shouldn't say this. Well, go listen to the Replacements, and if you want something that's aggressive, short, and female, go to check out Otoboke Beaver. They're a Japanese noise punk band, whose music videos are awesome and they're pretty aggressive. And if you want short bursts of aggressive energy from the land of the rising sun, I recommend them.
Jesus Christ. Almost regretting asking. I've got a
Or
recommendation for you
Philip,
then.
what?
This is going to be the mainstream equivalent of what you're talking about, but have you heard Moondog Symphony?
No, I haven't.
Moondog was
Check that out.
Because Wesley Wells reminded me of it. Wikipedia says American musician, composer, theoretician, poet, and inventor of several musical instruments. Blind from the age of 16,
That's cool.
he lived in New York City from the late 40s until 1972. During this time, he could often be found on 6th Avenue between 52nd and 55th Street, wearing a cloak and horn helmet, sometimes busking, sometimes selling music, but often just standing silently on the sidewalk. Widely recognized as Viking of 6th Avenue. And Moondog Symphony was sampled by some techno guy, and that's how I found it. And then I went back to find where he got the sample from, and it's this neat little thing, which I'll send you the clip after we're done recording. Anyway, Moondog Symphony is the song recommendation. And
I'll check that
Wesley
out.
Willis is our homeless composer recommendation. He's schizophrenic anytime before 2015. He's probably homeless up until now.
He had a rough life. He lived in the projects of Chicago. I mean, I've always was heard that he's influenced some people that like I've listened to, and so I was like, okay, who's this guy? And then like if you think about it, dude had limited control of things, and he was always fighting off demons. I mean, like you could look at his life as a metaphor, but I think it's kind of sad just to look at people are just metaphors.
Well, some people only exist to be metaphors. I mean, he made an impact on the world.
Maybe
he made an impact on you. Maybe that was his purpose.
Maybe. I mean, like, to try to treat that with respect.
George, one last question I want to ask you. It's a doozy.
What's up?
Do you think that some people are better than others?
In what sense? Oh, just open-ended? I guess, to me, yes. And by that, I mean some people will do more to improve people's lives and do good things for me, and other people will just detract from that. And I guess it's my own vision to see whether or not they're better than others. So some people, yes, they are better than other people.
I agree, and for the exact same reason. Inherently, no. I think we're all born perfect, frankly. You know, there's deformities or genetic mishaps aside, I think everyone is born as just fresh slates. You know, having a child makes that clear. He's a little angel, and he has impulses that, you know, aren't perfect, but throughout growing up, we become imperfect, and then we start being like where we're raised and who raises us. And some people just get a shitty hand and they can't do as much with it, and other people get a shitty hand and they struggle and they strive and they go past where they're at, and then they become great. And people are a measure of what they do in the world. And you can say it's how much money they make. You can say how successful they become. You can say, like you said, I think is a great way of measuring people, how much they give back, how much they give to others and do for other people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd agree with that. I was just curious. I was thinking about that. And, I think you said
I think
exactly
it's what
I
we
would
can
say.
give to other people. You know, it's what we can give to other people is the most important. Yeah, I mean, it's always fun receiving stuff. In
George,
fact,
what
you
can I
do
give
have
you?
I'm
going to get you a new microphone.
I don't know.
One that doesn't take 5 minutes to set up.
If that'd be amazing, that would be amazing. I don't know. You know, I like it. To be honest with you, I do really enjoy getting things. But
Me
I also
too.
like giving things. Yeah.
Okay, podcast listeners, if you want to get us something, we're going to set up a P.O. box. I'm kidding. Just like
if you can just give me cash to get if you give me cash to pay off my loans, I'll love you.
You give me honest discussion and like maybe a 20-year-old Korean girlfriend, then I'm good.
We're honest here.
George, what do you think? Did we hit it at all? Did we touch on the topic at least once?
Well, we finger blasted the topic, so I think it's still. Yeah, we did. We touched it.
We finger blasted the topic. All right, there it is. Well, thank you, listeners.
Yes.
Once again, to the three people remaining after an hour and 5 minutes of light to medium racism and ignorance and waffling and riffing. Thank you guys for being here.
I'm so waffling. I'm Belgium.
And with that, thank you for being on the podcast with us.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Leave a comment and let us know what you think about the episode, what you'd like us to talk about next, so that we can ignore it and do what we want. All right.
Yes. Later, viewers or listeners.